Hi, I'm Brian Shannon. I'm an apprentice Alpine guide with the Association of Canadian Mountain Guides, and I'm here today at Climb-On to talk a little bit about mountain boots, crampons, and different applications for summer objectives. There's a pretty big range of mountain boots on the market, from big, huge, heavy mountaineering boots to super fast and light boots that look more like running shoes. And there's a big range of crampons as well. Some of these crampons are going to shine better on certain boots than other ones. I'm going to talk about some ways we can pair crampons with the right boot so you have the right tool for the right objective. The first on our list today is the Scarpa Crux. It's a classic approach shoe that shines really well on rock terrain and some easily low-fifth scrambling. We paired that with the Black Diamond Distance Spike. This is kind of our lowest profile spike that we can use. It's not a crampon in the traditional sense, but it's really low profile and it'll do really well on icy trails or small snow patches. This setup's going to shine really well on areas where you're mostly focused on rock climbing or traveling through ridge-like terrain. This is a really good kind of spike to have as a just in case when you're not expecting to travel much on snow, but you might need to travel on something. This is going to be good for something like Slessy, where you're mostly rock climbing, but there's a possibility you'll be traveling on some snow somewhere along your way. Or scrambling routes in Southwest BC, things like Sky Pilot, where I know I'm going to be crossing a bit of snow, but I want a really light setup so I can get my trip done fast. If you want to enhance your waterproof travel, pairing that with something like the Distance Gaiter isn't going to cost you much on weight, but you're able to keep your feet a little bit drier for the rest of the day. Our next setup we've got here is the La Sportiva TX4 Mid. This is another classic approach shoe, but it's a little bit beefed up. It's got a mid-rise top, which is really nice to support your ankle when you're carrying big loads over rough terrain and scree and talus, that sort of thing. It's also Gore-Tex, which is going to keep your foot dry if you're traveling in snow for a longer period of time. We paired this with the Petzel Leopard, which is a fully aluminum crampon. It's ultra light, stows really well in your pack when you're going to be traveling on routes where you want to carry it over the top. This is a really nice ultralight setup. Another cool feature for the Leopard is that if you've got a really soft boot or an odd shaped piece of footwear, you can make a more secure fit by taking the strap and actually threading it through the cord underneath the boot, and that will give you a really secure fit. This setup really shines in places like the Bugaboos when you're going to be schlepping a heavy load all the way up to Appleby. You got a heavy pack and you want something to support your ankle. The Petzel Leopard is going to be a great crampon. You know you're going to be crossing some easy snow and glaciated terrain, but really you're going up there to rock climb and you want to be able to have a light pack so you can get on the routes you want to climb. When you're worried you're going to be traveling over snow for a longer period of time and you want some more protection, you can always pair that with something like the BD Talus Gaiter. These aren't a traditional gaiter, but they're going to provide some waterproof protection and keep snow out of your boot, but they're still really low profile and packable. Now we're moving up to our first true mountaineering boot. This is the Scarpa Zodiac Tech. It's a 3/4 shank mountaineering boot that's going to provide a lot more rigidity in the sole, and overall you're going to find this thing's got more support and more durability than the approach shoes we looked at. It's got a higher rand that wraps around the boot. That's going to provide more protection and durability when you're going over more broken terrain and talus and scree. It's also made with leather and Gore-Tex, which is going to keep the boot waterproof when you're in snow and glaciated terrain for extended periods of time. We paired this boot with the Petzl Leopard hybrid crampon. This is another ultralight crampon. Similar to the Leopard, it uses aluminum in the heel piece, but this one uses steel in the toe. It's going to allow you to travel over more technical terrain with confidence, more firm snow, steep snow, even getting into ice. This is going to allow you to do a little bit of front pointing. It's also going to provide more durability when you're traveling over mixed terrain, when you're moving between ice and snow and rock, and you want some support, but still maintain that lightweight. This setup will take you really far all over the place. It's going to allow you to move through snow, ice, walking or front pointing. Moving into more technical rock terrain, the boot's going to provide more support for edging. The front points are going to provide more durability and support for front pointing. This could take you to places like Edith Cavell in the Rockies, Mount Victoria. Closer to home for me, the Tantalus Range, doing things like the Tantalus Traverse. This is going to keep the weight really light, but you're not going to compromise on your ability to move in technical terrain. Our final setup here is the Rebell Tech 3D. This is another full mountaineering boot, but it's got some additional features that are going to amp things up when you want to conquer more technical routes. This is a super light mountaineering boot, but it doesn't compromise at all. It's fully waterproof and it's got a gaiter for added warmth. Another 3/4 shank. It's going to provide enough rigidity so you can walk over terrain, but you can also climb some more technical terrain. We paired this with the Sarkin crampon. This is a great crampon when I know I'm going to need to do a little bit of everything. It's got enough flotation that I can spend long times walking over non-technical glaciated terrain, but it's also got really vertical front points that are going to engage really well when you're climbing technical ice. This would be a great setup for routes like Mount Baker's North Ridge. There's a lot of snow walking and glaciated terrain. I want a crampon where I know I can float well and walk fast, but I know eventually I'm going to be climbing some technical ice. There's some AI3 climbing. I want to be able to swing my feet and front point and get some purchase. This is going to be a great boot for objectives like that, where there's quite a mixed bag of climbing. Other spots that come to mind would be Rockies North Faces when I want a light setup to move fast, but I've got some technical terrain, some steep ice gullies, some routes with some rock where I want some rigidity in my boot, some ability to front point with my crampons. This is going to be a great setup for north-facing routes all over Canada. If you want to build your own combination of boot and crampon, trying to pair a more flexible shoe with a lighter, more flexible crampon is going to be the right setup. And pairing a more rigid boot with a more full form rigid crampon is going to go really far. If you want some help pairing the right boot with the right crampon, the people here at Climb On will be happy to give you some advice. And if you're looking for some private instruction or guiding up in the mountains, whether it be alpine climbing or rock climbing or mountaineering, feel free to reach out to me at brianshannonguiding.com.